For some of us, June means summertime, pools, beaches, and firing up the grill. However, sometimes it can also mean blasting your AC and firing up your favorite console or PC. Here are the biggest games releasing in June 2022. Mario's main source of income may come from working with his hands and fixing toilets, but he's also pretty talented with his feet. Mario Strikers is not your typical soccer game. It features an energetic mix of special moves, obstacles, and team play that you won't see in FIFA. The game features 10 playable characters, each with their own customization options through stat boosting equipment. These boosted stats include speed for dribbling the ball, strength for tackling, and shooting power. When it comes to multiplayer, Mario Strikers will offer both online and local multiplayer at launch. Up to 8 players can join a game locally, so long as each player has their own Joy-Con controller. Online matches include 1v1 and 2v2 options, with 2 local players able to jump online together. Finally, the Strikers Club online mode lets up to 20 players join a club together and raise through the ranks by playing online matches. Mario Strikers Battle League is kicking its way onto Switch on June 10th. The Quarry tells a story of the final day of summer camp where a group of teenage counselors are hosting a party. Unfortunately, that party isn't going to end very well for them. Like Until Dawn, players will make choices to determine what happens to each of the 9 camp counselors, all of which are not safe from the hands of the Grim Reaper. The Quarry features an all-star cast including David Arquette, Ariel Winter, Brenda Song, and Justice Smith, just to name a few. And if you're a little bit of a scaredy cat like me, or you just want to enjoy the terror with a friend because you enjoy that for some reason, then you'll be glad to know that the Quarry features online play. Unfortunately, multiplayer has been delayed until July 8th. But when it does launch, those who are invited to a session can watch the action play out and cast their votes on certain decisions. This will be perfect for when I need to close my eyes or take a never-ending trip to the bathroom in the middle of playing. So get ready to make some tough choices when the Quarry drops on June 10th for PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC. Did the second Sonic movie put you in the mood to play through a bunch of his games? Well, Sonic Origins compiles Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and Sonic CD, each of which have been remastered. However, player choice is important, so Sega is giving you 2 modes to choose from: Classic and Anniversary. Classic will be the Sonic games in the original aspect ratio with the same difficulty you may remember, while Anniversary converts to full screen mode and offers infinite lives. You'll also be able to unlock medallions by completing special missions, which can be used to unlock vault content and play special stages. You can relive Sonic's past again when Sonic Origins comes to every console and PC on June 23rd. Unlike the traditional Fire Emblem games, Three Hopes ditches the tactical turn-based action for more dynamic warfare, taking a page out of the Musou playbook of the Dynasty Warriors series. However, Three Hopes does have some similarities to its predecessor, Three Houses, as you'll be able to experience one of 3 diverging story paths depending on which faction you've chosen to play as. Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes launches on Nintendo Switch on June 24th. Announced back in 2018, Diablo Immortal is the first mobile-based MMO in the Diablo series, a fact which admittedly both shocked and even frustrated fans. Diablo Immortal is a unique story in Diablo lore set between Diablo 2 and 3. Players will build characters and fight against hellish hordes commanded by Skarn, the Lord of Damnation. The game will launch with 8 different zones, each with their own playstyle, loot, and enemies, with more zones coming in the future. Players can also join up in random live events to take on larger enemies, as well as the Quarry, an 8-player mission that serves as the game's first raid experience. Mobile players can experience Diablo Immortal on June 2nd, but that day also marks the beginning of an open beta test for the newly revealed PC version of the game, which will support full cross progression with iOS and Android. The PC version will support WASD movement for the first time in Diablo history, while all progress made by PC beta testers will carry over to the full version of the game upon release. Get ready to become an off-road legend. In MX vs ATV Legends, you'll experience the risk and reward of becoming a professional rider in the game's new career mode. You'll take on invitational events, sign with sponsors, and make choices that can lead you down a new, mostly dirt-covered path. The game features new large open environments to explore, as well as a new Trials mode that challenges you to ride in new ways. Take on your friends in the classic 2-player split-screen way, or invite the whole squad for a 16-player online match. MX vs ATV Legends is racing onto PC and every console except Switch on June 28th. World Slayer is the first expansion for 2021's Outriders. The story picks up almost exactly where the base game left off, and even lets you pretend you've done all the endgame activities by boosting your character up to the base game's level cap. In our preview for the game, Phil Hornshaw wrote, quote, "World Slayer doesn't drastically alter Outriders' moment-to-moment gameplay, so these levels will feel similar to what players saw in the base game. Although you should expect a host of new enemy types and bosses to freshen up the combat along the way. So grab your friends and get ready to start looting and shooting again when World Slayer releases on June 30th. Monster Hunter Rise's massive SUNBREAK expansion contains a whole new story for players to explore, following directly on the events of the main game. This story has hunters facing off against 3 powerful new creatures known as the Three Lords. And in order to combat these new threats, SUNBREAK will introduce a brand new ability called Switch Skill Swap. This ability enables hunters to assign switch skills to 2 different loadouts, which can be changed on the fly during a hunt. Players who find themselves under attack while performing the ability can also perform a swap evade in any direction to avoid danger, or simply reposition for a continued assault. SUNBREAK is coming to Switch and PC on June 30th. Originally slated for release in May, Soldiers is a retro-inspired 2D Metroidvania in which you're whisked away to a mythical land on the fringes of the afterlife. Soldiers is described as having Souls-like combat, very common these days, and you'll be slashing, dodging, and parrying your way through dozens of tough enemies. The game's pixel art world is packed with details, and there are secret pathways and treasures to find all over. Soldiers releases on June 2nd for every console, as well as PC. Terran Command is set in the universe of the Starship Troopers films, which started with the 1997 sci-fi action movie. In the game, you'll fight over different planetary campaigns, and the story and missions you take on will change depending on your choices. Since the arachnid enemies greatly outnumber you, you'll need to account for this in your tactics, and use the numerous different units and abilities at your disposal to take them out. Starship Troopers Terran Command drops on June 16th for PC only. Fall Guys is making its way to Xbox and Switch on June 21st for free $99, so you have no excuse not to try it. As Alessandro Barbosa put it in his review, Fall Guys is a great example of the Battle Royale genre growing outside of its roots. It's a far more approachable take on the multiplayer format, with simple controls and a variety of mini-games, giving this competitive game show as much charm as they do tension. And with that being said, if you don't think it's fun at all, I'll personally mail you a check for $0. Shadowrun has a long history dating back to the original tabletop game from 1989 that was first adapted to the SNES in 1993. 2012's Kickstarter campaign revived the series for a new generation, and now you can enjoy it even if you don't have a PC. The excellent trilogy of tactical RPGs include 2013 Shadowrun Returns, 2014 Shadowrun Dragonfall, and 2015 Shadowrun Hong Kong. Shadowrun Returns is a cyberpunk meets fantasy game set in 2054, after magic has returned to the world, along with elves, trolls, orcs, and dwarves. You'll spend a lot of time tracking down leads and taking down enemies using a tactical combat system that's backed by a complex skill tree. Shadowrun Trilogy is heading to every console on June 21st. So as you can see, June has plenty of options to keep you from getting sand in your ears and grill smoke in your lungs. Not to mention the fact that Summer Games Fest is also in June. So make sure you tune in on Twitch or YouTube on June 9th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern for a mix of new game premieres and new looks at previously announced games. And the same goes for the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase on June 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Let me know which of these games you're most excited for, and make sure you're subscribed so you're notified when our biggest games of July comes out. See you then.